This week for Beacon Web News, Sarah Troy and I covered the Hardman Lecture Series and Catch the Action with the North Adams mayoral election. Sarah Thompson gets a sneak preview of the fall play Falling and Loving. That's all coming up next on Beacon Web News. Welcome to the November 3rd episode of Beacon Web News. I'm May Craig. MCLA professor Dr. Kebra Ward received a Fulbright U.S. Scholar Award to South Africa. The Fulbright Award program is a U.S. government's flagship international educational exchange program that is supported by people in the U.S. and partner countries around the world. A North Adams resident died in a fatal New York crash. New York State Police said officials responded on Friday at 2 a.m. in Canaan, New York, to a vehicle that had reportedly gone off the road. Officials said there were 3 people inside the vehicle, including 58-year-old Paula R. Boxbaum of North Adams. Boxbaum was the former director of the North Adams Teen Root Center. She was taken to the Berkshire Medical Center where she was pronounced dead. Dana Schildkraut of MCLA Pittsfield was awarded Artist of the Month. Her work will be on display at the college's Pittsfield location at 66 Allen Street. It will be shown from Friday, November 5th during the city's first art walk and will appear for the month of November. The award is sponsored by the City of Pittsfield Office of Cultural Development. Former senior editor of the Wall Street Journal, Bob Davis, was this year's Hardman Journalist in residence. As part of his residency, Davis talked about his career as an economic journalist and his coverage on the trade and economic relations behind the United States and China. Here is Sarah Troy and I with more on the story.
In 1999, he was part of a team of journal reporters that won a Pulitzer Prize for their international reporting on the Russian and Asian financial crisis.
Hardman scholar Natalia Giacomosi and Professor Sean McIntosh sat down with former Wall Street journalist Bob Davis to talk about journalism and the trade alliance between the United States and China.
Media never had a great reputation. You know, we do hard things, people don't like it, but the growing distrust of the media, despite people's real efforts, you know, to try to get the truth and try to find out the facts, I mean, that's something that we struggle against enormously.
In the lecture, Bob Davis talked about the economic relationships and benefits between China and the U.S. and how the two nations are bonded together due to their trade agreements, U.S. companies, and dependence on one another for business growth.
Davis has a long and distinguished career at the Wall Street Journal, where he wrote about economic issues and international politics.
Davis touched upon the U.S.-China trade war of 2019 and how, even though there are still major disagreements over trade, the trade agreement has been signed between the two countries, and Davis said that trade agreement is one of the few threads holding the relationship together. Davis also talked about China and Taiwan and the growing tensions between the two that could explode into a hot war rather than a cold war.
Many different publications, and it's more democratized in a sense because if somebody breaks a story from some paper I've never heard of or some publication I've never heard of and it winds up on Twitter and it's legit and it gets a lot of attention, well, that's as much competition for me as a story in the New York Times.
What kind of tools are there right now at a journalist's disposal to kind of counter that distrust?
The best advice that I have for people is go to trusted sources, you know, and particularly if it's just some anonymous person on the internet, be very wary.
For Beacon Web News, I'm May Craig. MCLA's men's basketball will have their first game of the season against Castleton University on November 5th. The basketball game will take place in the Amsler Campus Center gym at 7 p.m. The Mastheads and MCLA's Institute for Art and Humanities will be presenting Inscapes. Students will have the opportunity to write and submit a 2-line poem about the Berkshires. Students must submit their poem by Friday, November 5th. The winner of Inscapes will get a chance to win a gift card to either the Plant Collector, Desperados, Bailey's Bakery, or the Berkshire Emporium and Antiques. On Tuesday, November 2nd, North Adams had their mayoral and city council election. There were 3 new members that got elected and 5 incumbent members that got reelected. The 3 new city council members are Jennifer Barbeau, MCLA's Michael Abosnon as the first African-American member to join City Council, and MCLA alum Ashley Shade, the first transgender member. MCLA senior Josh Valliers was elected into North Adams School Committee. Sarah Troy and Natalia Giacomosi went downtown and interviewed some of the local voters as well as the candidates who are running for the office this year. North Adams will make history this year with electing their first ever female mayor. The race has narrowed down to Lynette Bond and Jennifer Maxey after the two candidates won the city's preliminary election. Not only will the people of North Adams be electing a new mayor, but they will also be electing new people onto city council. Natalia Giacomosi and Sarah Troy headed downtown to see the turnout and inquire about what the candidates have to offer.
Yeah, the voter turnout's been great so far. I believe we had a record this morning, 400 people in the first hour, which is really amazing.
So like around 11 o'clock, they were doing number updates, and we already had about, over 600 people that have come out to vote.
We got a lot of positive thumbs up, and our supporters are coming out, and we're just excited that it's a beautiful day.
We've had really strong turnout. It's been impressive. I mean, right away, 9 o'clock, people have been out.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
I think it's great. They had 100 voters in the first 20 minutes.
We were very fortunate. We assembled a great team on the Maxey for Mayor committee. I'm very grateful for all the hard work they've done and all of my volunteers.
Well, I couldn't do any of this without volunteers, so they have been so passionate, so involved, and I thank them so much for being part of this election.
Bond's goals for the city of North Adams is to improve infrastructure downtown and increase pedestrian safety, whereas Maxey's plans for the city involve fixing the North Adams Public Safety Department, eliminating crime, and bringing more jobs into the area.
I'm grateful for Lynette's team for running a nice campaign, a professional campaign. I think we were able to focus on the issues of the community. So it's been an exciting, fun time.
As the city grows, we need everyone to be involved. We need young people. We need people who have been here for generations. We need everyone to be involved in our city government and really plan for our future.
I'm running for city council because I've spent the last 14 years working either on the council or on the planning board to help move the city forward, and I want to continue that work using my experience in municipal government and finance.
Well, I have a lot of unfinished work from the previous time on the council, and I would like to finish it.
I really care about the city. That's my biggest thing. I care about the city, and it's my way of giving back to the city that I'm from.
I enjoy doing it. It's like my hobby.
I love being a candidate. I love working to help the community, and I love MCLA as an alumni, so go Trailblazers.
The North Adams voters have chosen Jennifer Maxey to be the city's next mayor. Maxey won by 1,674 votes. The MCLA Alumni Association will be hosting a virtual roundtable discussion, Trailblazing the Path Legal Careers, on Wednesday, November 3rd at 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. The event is open to those interested in pursuing a career in law and is free and open to students and graduates of the last decade. For more questions, you can email alumni@mcla.edu. The Center for Student Success and Engagement will be offering academic support office hours on November 8th from 3 to 4 p.m. Students can either visit CESI in person or go online via Teams. Please join the Environmental Studies Department for a live animal presentation featuring non-releasable wildlife from the Southern Vermont Natural History Museum. The event will take place on Thursday, November 18th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. in the CSI atrium. Live theater returns to MCLA with the production of Falling in Loving, directed by Laura Stanley. Falling in Loving is the first theatrical production of the fall semester and first in-person play since the pandemic began. Sarah Tomczyk goes behind the curtain for a sneak preview of the play.
MCLA's theater's upcoming production, Falling in Loving, will be the first school's production since the COVID-19 pandemic. The show will premiere on November 5th and run through November 14th in the Venable Theater. The production, Falling in Loving, was originally created by Charles Mee, but MCLA Fine and Performing Arts professor Laura Stanley and a group of students took the last 2 semesters to adapt the postmodern play. Stanley further describes the play.
And so we went through and collected all of these wild stage directions and different scenes that we liked and put those together with his text from Falling in Loving and created our own version of the play that really is a response to the way we feel right now, the way we feel about everything that's going on right now.
When Stanley was talking about how they felt, it was directed more towards about COVID and how COVID affected the theater program. Stanley explains how COVID affected her program.
For the students, many of the students have had plays where they thought they were going to be able to perform it live, and then at the last minute or you know, within a certain amount of time, it's had to end up switching to online only. So the group of students that are in this play have had plays canceled, they've had plays switched, and this will be the first time that they're able to do something live in since this whole thing began.
One of the students in that group that was affected was senior Jessica Mewes. Currently, Jessica is the assistant director and one of the actresses in Falling and Loving. Even though the production is live this year, Jessica expresses her difficulties as an actress during last year's changes.
It just wasn't the same. As someone who loves to perform on stage, I just felt like I was trapped in this little box, because I literally was, my computer screen. But this has just been so magical, and it's been wonderful to be connecting with people again. I felt like through a screen it was so much harder, but being back with the cast and being able to speak face to face, even if you can't see each other's mouths, is just a whole different experience altogether. It's just fantastic.
The crew has expressed their excitement about performing in this semester's play. Jessica continues to explain how happy the crew and herself are to be performing live.
The cast has worked so hard, the crew has worked so hard, and we're just happy to get to this point to be able to be performing again in front of all of you.
If you want to watch Falling and Loving live, be sure to buy tickets at www.onthestage.tickets. And with that, from Beacon Web News, this is Sarah Tomzik.
According to the MCLA website, there are 51 clubs and organizations on campus for students to get involved in. However, only 21 of those clubs are active on campus. Due to the college's low enrollment status, many college clubs are inactive due to the lack of interest in joining and the coronavirus pandemic. MCLA's Food Pantry is now planning on regularly offering fresh fruits and vegetables to the campus community. You can find the fresh produce on the second floor of the Amsler Campus Center. This week's Campus Life Snapshot looks at Audrey Purdue, a junior resident from Kansas City, Missouri, studying communications and broadcasting. Just a quick correction on the mayoral election. Jennifer Maxey actually won by 196 votes in yesterday's election. That's it for this week. To stay up to date for BWN, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/MCLABWN. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.